So I wanted to show this bike build here because it is a super budget multi-surface winter bike slash gravel-ish bike, and I've been scouring the interwebs to find something that was really done on a budget, because when people say budget sometimes they don't really mean budget the way I mean budget. And I want to do a shout out actually to the penny pinching cyclist, because he did the most budget one of these that I could find, and so he gave me the inspiration to figure it out on my own a little bit and to come up with something that was really budget. Now, of course, there's not going to be high-end components on this bike. It's basically remade of many things I already had and a few new purchases, and the price comes in for new purchases, new things I needed to get, comes in under $200, and I'll try to break down that cost in the description for anyone who's curious. But what you're looking at is, I believe it's a 1986 Puch or Puch, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a classic. It's a 10-speed from the 80s, and it was my workhorse bike for many years. And up until summer of 2018, it was pretty much the only bike that I rode. I got it for $5 at a tag sale about 16 years ago and have ridden the hell out of it. And when I first got it, it looked like this. And then after riding it for a little while, I decided to convert it to a fixed gear, and it looked like this. But in the summer of 2018, I decided to get a more proper fixed gear bike, which is where this Fuji track came into play. And so I really didn't need two fixed gears. So I said, what can I do with this bad boy? And I kind of just had it as a single speed commuter and guest bike kind of thing. But I got more and more fascinated with got more fascinated with off-road riding, and picked up a cheap mountain bike for a good deal off of Craigslist and rode that a couple times, but the geometry and the feel of it just wasn't what I was used to or what I was really interested in. So then of course I got to looking at cyclocross and gravel bikes and said, how can I make one similar to that? So that's the inspiration behind this. And again, it's not going to be what most people think of as a gravel bike. People are already probably seeing the riser bars and saying, you need to have drop bars. Well, maybe someday I'll have drop bars, that's fine. But this is what I had, because this was part of the build I did as a single speed. Anyway, I reused a lot, and I bought a few things that were key. What I bought that were the most major expenses were the wheels. And these wheels are not super high-end fancy wheels, but they are made in USA wheels. So I can get the label here for you. And we have an awesome local bike shop, which is non-profit, called BiciCo in Hartford, and I think they pretty much sold these to me for cost, which was awesome, and they were about $100. The tires are just basically me seeing what kind of size I could use for this frame, and the estimate from the shop was that it was going to be maybe up to 40-41. I decided to try 38, and as you can see, 38 just barely fits, and so 38 is probably the max. So these were $15 a piece. I just wanted to try something out to see what would fit, and they're decent multi-surface tires. They're not going to be, cyclocross or gravel bike tires, but I can upgrade that at some point. I will say I did take this bike on some gravel and through some mud, some loose pavementy kind of gravel, and it did just fine. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with off-road riding, so I may have to do a lot more testing before I realize what's good and what's not good. But in terms of good, I mean to say it was stable, and it didn't feel like I was going to wash out and fall on my ass, so that was good. And unlike what I'm used to riding, which is slick 23 or 25 with tires on my fixed gear. Those are not places I would have gone on that bike. So, brand new wheels and tires ended up being about 130 bucks. The tires 15, the wheels set 100. Now, because of the size of the frame, couldn't go super big on the back in terms of the cogs, but I managed to get a 7-speed. This is a 1x7. It's got this mega range gear here, which is very cool and super easy to pedal, which is weird for me as a road bike person. Got the new cables and cable housings. I was able to reuse the original derailleur, which was very cool, because not only is it just cool, old looking, but you know, it actually matches the range and it actually works for that large mega range gear, which is something I wasn't sure was going to work out, but it did. This is the crankset and bottom bracket that I originally changed when I did the single speed build. These are really cool, very smooth and nice cranksets from this Vuelta Pista brand, which is, I can't remember how much they are, like 25 bucks or something like that, maybe 30 bucks, but a nice budget item. I kept the old metal pedals because I think they're awesome and I love the way they grip, and I don't really care about weight that much. I had to refurbish a little bit some of the hardware here, get rid of some rust, same thing up there, and I was pleasantly surprised that I was going to be able to reuse these brakes. So these are the original brakes. As you can see, clean them up a little bit. I was using the front one for the single speed build when I did the fixed gear. I wasn't using the back one, so I had to kind of put that one back on. And as I said, the riser bars, this is just more what I'm comfortable riding. They're not super wide, but they are usable, and these grips are really comfortable. Got the paddle shifters, so that's old school. Reusing all of that, reusing these brake levers that I had from before. Now, things I might do eventually with this bike, I do have one of these laying around. And the reason why I like the setup with this kind of brake and this kind of shifter is that in order to change the handlebars, you don't have to do much of anything. You just take that stuff off, pop the whole stem out, and there you go. So what I might do, this one is going to provide more of an aggressive riding posture and gives you the option of kind of leaning into it a little bit on the bullhorn. So since I had this already, which I had used on the fixed gear build, I can swap that in and try it. So, all told, as I said, under 200 bucks. It was more like 175, 180. I'll try to come up with the actual amount that I spent on this. As a multi-surface, winter, fun, off-road-ish bike, and I'm going to give it more test runs and see what it does on other surfaces. But right now, I'm very happy with it. I haven't taken it out a ton because it's been cold around here in New England, but anyway. Oh, brand new chain too, I just replaced that. But it's a fun build for super budget, and it's going to be a fun multi-surface bike, and I'm going to see how well it goes on some trails and things and go from there. So thought I would share, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.